Get it going. Oh shit. All right. It's like everything is on the left side. I don't know if I like that. Anise, good evening. Mm, That one. Well, I think it's time to get started. Oh, oh, mm, crap. Oh, I figured this shit out. Ah, all right. Let's try this. There must be some good energy out here tonight for that one to howl. Damn, crash bang. All right. Well, good evening. A guten morning. Welcome to the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your host, Eight Winds Timeless. I am the holder of the continuous ball game that was created by the Hero Twins. I'm your galactic daddy-o, sitting on my galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. Greetings all. And our sponsor is Drakkar. Drakkar Essence for the man who has nothing. And our beer tonight is Andouche Clusters, Griffin Fur, Doppler Bach Dunkel. So pop them if you got them, smoke them if you want them. Here we go. Didn't talk about this last night. I'm a little sharper tonight, not as exhausted, not as tired, so I got a little more energy going. So, as I explain this stuff, I want to show you how it's applied, okay? Now, as you know, I just traveled, had something in the family and had to travel. So, and it's magic that you definitely should be taking any kind of traveling you do. There's magic that you should use. And this is natural. Even if you look at it just a movement through the matrix, you have to set a way. I mean, I talk about a way every day that you can set up a pattern of magic that just works for you every day. Where the fate, you create the fate. So I want to start this off saying and showing you kind of how this works. So they want to show this all over the world, but we're going to show it how it applies to the Americans. It's funny, this picture is probably just as big as the actual Stonehenge. But as you see here, now what's missing from the picture is the Kundalini dragon coming up, the quadruple energy. But this is what we really concentrated on and why he has that. Now, as you travel physically, and I guess we'll stay on the physical part, there's parts of magic that you should apply. But what's good about that is you create the magic you feel needed to move through the space-time you move through. If you can feel that. Now, I'm going to give you a perfect example. One time I was sitting and I was like just wanting to be at a powwow. And next thing I know, I'm holding my mirror and the skull is sitting next to me. I'm actually sitting on the ground under a blanket while people's going around the powwow in front of me. And I can't say that it's a powwow like you'd normally see, but it was a gathering of our people. But this one showed me very quickly of owning it, that it would go with me. So this is in my bag. And so this went with me to Michigan. This is its third trip to Michigan. This thing comes from China. Now, these cards, don't really use them a whole lot. I use the Toltec deck more than these, but these are stronger. These cards are stronger. And I have two sets. I have one very well preserved, and the other one's just as well, but the preserved one is older. But I bring these with me so they can live the experience. And when I use them, they're also in my bag. And this is a part of the way that magic should move. And I took two sets. I always keep them there. I got their own little sacks they stay in. And I took all this. course, Tiger's Eye. I found that on the show the other day. Everyone saw that. And I took it with me. But this is the reason why in this picture you see him carrying this, because just as the skull can move through the ethers, it can join me in the Tsar. That's why I froze. And the Tsar movements as well. This can move with me. This can move with me. Now, this is things that you should put together that move with you, like things every day that you use, and then things that even when you sleep, it'll join you. It'll go in your bag, because you never know what you need to pull out of it. I know Bomber once said, the fool also carries the bag in some tarots. It's the same kind of thing. So these things that can help you and that you work with, they have your experience. And so that's very important for your spiritual things. Be it crystals, whatever you see, whatever you think is that thing. You should also have a part of the type of magic you practice that you can take with you. Now, in the wintertime, I carry a lot more stones. Summertime, I carry less. So, I wanted to say that tonight. Let me see who's hanging. All right. I should have did it. I'm gonna have to keeps kicking the mic out. So that's them doing that, because we set the mic up and it's kicked the mic out. So it should sound better. The one, what's happening? I know you couldn't hear me for a second. You should be able to hear me now. Pretty sure I'm being heard now. Hey, Greg, can you guys hear me this time? Should better hear me. They keep kicking my mic out. Now it makes me wonder about my mono system. Did they do something to that system? Yeah, I'm back on. I figured that. So we'll go like this. That's fine. That's fine. I see what they're doing. There's no reason my mic should kick off. So it's something being sent to the mic, but that's all right. We'll make that adjustment. We just move. That's all we do. So, Key, what is happening? Valerie. Oh. Valerie, hello. Okay, good. All right. Just a couple of points. Let me see when. Like one thing that everybody can dig, and they've been doing this for a while, but you notice that they've been showing you the intelligent zombies, like the shit that Batista's on Netflix. You got a zombie zone. Vegas is the zombie zone, and they have intelligent zombies. Remember the zombie that fell in love, that lived on the airplane and shit? And he talked about the reason why the zombies would want to eat your brains is the zombies would get your memories. So that's why the zombies would always want to attack and eat your brains, because they would get the memories from you by ingesting your brain. But he was the intelligent zombie. And then what was it? FX had a zombie mortician or some shit, wasn't it? But the intelligent zombie is I don't get the idea of the intelligent zombie that we've been seeing. So they're like saying that okay, you're gonna be zombies, but You can have a little intelligence by being one, and that's a mocking. The intelligent zombie is a mocking, and it's telling you that that's what you are now, that you're the intelligent zombie. So I wanted to share that. Oh, that is just absolutely the best. I got this all 90, 100% dark chocolate. Mm. 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 I would say yes, but cooking would come under alchemy. Cooking comes under alchemy more than, you do manifest, but as far as the whole process of changing something, especially into something nutritional, that is alchemy. That's more alchemy, but yeah, but that's the part of magic. It would be the alchemy part of magic. Absolutely. Hey Jay, thank you. So, but yeah, so I was just these some observations. Here's another one. And Quantum of Science was saying this, and I think I got a better way to say it. He was just saying that he was going in and talking about ALS, Lou Gehrig, and that disease. But I got a better way of saying the Lou Gehrig thing, and it is loving every minute of it. Lou Gehrig says he's the luckiest man alive. Well, okay, but loving every minute of it, like that's what you kind of have to remember. Because to have what you dream about, you have to love every minute now. So to manifest, you have to love every minute now. Like the witch is right when she says you put stuff in the future, and you don't really want to do that. But only by loving the minute can you really manifest, because you waste so much of the energy, you waste so much of manifestation because the minute is really all you have. Like I know brother was saying in battle or war, things slow down to a certain pitch, but you can say that about going from high school to college football, from college football to pro. Once you master any of this, it all slows down. The same goes with gunplay and war. Once you master it, it will slow down for you no matter what. So you see all of it. And so you see every minute. That's mastering it. But the point is, you have to love every minute, because the minute is all you have. And what did Dr. Strange, what did the ancient one say? Here I am, I've lived 1,000 years, and yet I'm holding on to these last minutes. So love every minute of it. Love every minute of it. The U.S. won tonight. They let them win tonight. And all the games look just as scripted as the others. But it's hope. In the game, they got 2 more preseason games. This is one thing I caught. I can't remember. I should have wrote down what commercial it was. But the commercial used the end of the day spell. The commercial, like the way it ended, it said, so at the end of the day, and it kind of showed a progression of a day, but it used the end of the day spell. And again, the end of the day spell is some parrot shit. You have to understand, even Kwame was saying that shit, and his people saying it. Craig Fax be saying it. Corey Holcomb be saying it. I mean, get the fuck out of here with that shit. That's a parrot spell. You have to, it's obvious. This is a parroting spell and shit. I was teasing Super Sly back in 17. The first cat I heard say this was back in 11 was Cat Williams. So he might have been the one that really cast it. And then you hear people, and it's a filler word. You got to understand what filler words are. It's a fallback instead of saying you know. You don't think the talking heads on TV, they say that shit on accident? I mean, Perkins that can barely talk, I've been listening to him say it a year or two. So, but it was funny seeing them put it in a different way. It was funny. They used the magic in a different way, which I thought was kind of clever. Did y'all check this out? Some states are going to be able to give public taxpayers funds to the school of choice, and the school of choice are going to be religious private schools. Some states are trying to pass a law that school of choice can go to private schools. Now let's remember what some southern states did. And I'll give my ex-wife a perfect example of this. She's 2 years younger than me. So she graduated in 81. So she grew up in the South. She grew up in 63. She's born, in 63. So she grew up in the South. So when integration hit, what happened is the European people set up these Christian charter schools. And so people that she lived near, grew up with, they never went to the same schools. And then the public schools were segregated schools. So now if they do that, they can get tax dollars. Thought I'd put that in there. I almost got to sponsor. Another company almost sponsored me. They asked me to think about it. They gave me a call, and they were serious, and they offered me a little bread. And I didn't know about this product, but I'm going to read it and see what you guys think about this. It's called leak-proof draws. Or maybe they didn't say draws. Maybe they said underwear or some shit. But it's leak-proof, which that sounds like a diaper to me. It don't leak. It's pretty much a diaper. So I don't know, guys. I don't know if I want any leak-proof draws. I don't really need leak-proof draws. Maybe when I'm about 120, might consider it then. But not right now. So... At the end of the day, sounds lame. Yes, if they weren't letting them lose 3 games in a row, it would be too unbelievable. I agree, Jack. It is very lame. And it's a spell. You know, that's the biggest thing, is it's a spell. Yeah, leak proof. So, you know, guys, if I come on here one night, you know, I'm sitting tall, might have some leak proof on. Hey. Let's see. Better. So we'll see. Now I'll say I won't be as hard on the people from Wisconsin. I stopped in Wisconsin and ate a couple times, and I'm going to say the people weren't as ugly. But I was listening to one dude, and when they talk about gang stalking, this is what was interesting. So we pull into a Carver's, and Carver's is like a slight step up. They have fish dinners. They have dinners too, but it's fast food still, but a little better. The burgers is definitely real meat. And so when we pull in the parking lot is absolutely packed. And I'm thinking, it's packed. But then I drove, and like to get out, I had to drive around. And they did have a drive-through as well, but it's packed in the parking lot. I drive in front of the restaurant, because you can, again, you can eat in. And I look in there and I notice there's no heads. There's no heads sitting in there. And I'm like confused. I'm seeing at least 80 car slots filled up. At least 80. I don't see 80 people in the restaurant. And so my mother and I park. We go in, and it's like 4 or 5 people in front of us with 2 cashiers. So 80 parks filled, 80 car spots filled. Maybe 20 people. I would say 30 would be capping. For 80 cars, there was nowhere to really walk around. I mean, there was a gas station near, but the bigger gas station was across the street. This one was decent. So I guess if people would say is there such a thing of a gang stalking, that would be considered that, where there's more cars than there are people. No, some of the people were in their cars. And this is the thing, is when we leave, the cars are basically gone. The cars reflect who's in the goddamn building. But when I pulled in, it was 80 slots, and I was the 81st person to park. Hey, Iron 5, thank you for joining me. Thank you for that. So, I mean, the Matrix plays a funny thing. And it makes you, it tries to discourage you if you don't pay attention. If you don't look at this thing right in the face, it will discourage you. So I wanted to bring that up. Oh my goodness, this beer is good. I forget it's strong too. So I wanted to bring that up. That's part of what a reality you could see. That's part of there's something. That's part of something that you might come through. Is that kind of presentation of this reality. So what I guess my word is to keep investigating. If it seems like one thing, it might not be. Because what I saw was obviously an illusion. Again, 80 parking spots. And there's like, it was less people in there. When I went in there, it was less than, like I walked in there with all the people that I was in line with. We all pretty much walked in there together. And what's funny is it was a dude who stank. Now, again, we're in Wisconsin where some of the ugliest people in the world live. So not only was he ugly, he stank. But he walks out the place like he was in the place before I was in the place. I got a whiff of his essence as he went out. Then I go sit down, get my food. He's standing in line. When I'm leaving, this motherfucker's standing in line to get food. Now, technically, that would be a deja vu. Now, no, most of you think it's the, oh, I've done this before. No, that this would be a deja vu as well. Because we find a slight jump in the matrix. But that's a deja vu. And I catch this thing trying to do that shit all the time. I don't care what else he did. There's nothing he could have done to waste that much time when he was in there before me. And now he's back in line. So do you see how this thing operates? You can catch it. I didn't say this last night. Let me tell you, I saw some of the best driving in Chicago I had ever saw. When I was going home, we was going like a lot of times I'll take the Skyway. Like we was lucky. We took the Skyway. We took the going 90 coming in. Okay. And I took Waukegan going back. 41 going through Kenosha. Well, got to interrupt for this. Oh, there it is. Okay. Anyway, so we're on 41, which goes through Waukegan. Anybody know Illinois, Waukegan? We going through Waukegan, end up in Kenosha. I didn't take the Skyway, to go around that way. Because there's two parts of the Skyway. First part will take you like you coming right in on the Eisenhower. And the second part will take you where you ain't got to go through Waukegan. And Waukegan, if you went on the other side, I can't think of that road near Gurney Mills side, you would go to Great America. You go to Great America. So this way, when you drive through Waukegan on 41, you on the other side of Great America. There's a part where you can turn to go up in the park. But anyway, now imagine this Chicago traffic. We in suburbs of Chicago, so the energy is still there. It was about 15 cars in both lanes. 15 cars in both lanes. There was a motorcycle. And I want to say maybe we was a little before because it's a light coming into Waukegan where you it's like telling you to slow down. So maybe we're back a little further coming into Waukegan because it was the part where he wasn't stopped by no light. So we was probably a little further back because it's a gas station, it's a Denny's, and then it's a Target sit like in there as you get into Waukegan. But anyway, so it's about 30 cars. It's 15 on each side. This dude came through, and it was like interesting the way the traffic was because everybody was kind of spread slightly out, even though we on a 2-lane highway. I'm just dropping everything. Okay. And so this guy comes from behind me. He doesn't get beside me. He gets in the middle of me. So he drives next to me. Like when he comes by me, he comes by my door. So I catch him in my rear view. He comes beside my door and he rides through the middle of these 15 goddamn people. He rides through 15 cars through the middle. And like he ain't even hit it. He just was like, you know, at one point he was just holding one hand and he kind of held it. But it was like the cars were perfect for him apart. And I don't know if they moved apart. It didn't seem like it. But he hit it. And before you know it, he was in front of all 30 cars. And he did that shit so smooth. I was very impressed. I was like, that's some stuntman shit there. That wasn't the first time he did that shit. I was very impressed with that driving. Very impressive. It's the 31. No, it's the 41. If you go to Waukegan, that's 41. That's 41. Because you come out where the other part of the Skyway. Like when you get into Kenosha, that's 41. Because if you coming back from the west, you coming from the west, you'll see Waukegan 41, or you can take 90 and go around. So that's 41. Definitely 41. Because when I ref, we always refed in Kenosha. And we would always take that way. The other part is, like, it's better to go that way so you ain't got to get gas in Chicago. You get gas out there. And if you go 41, you got better lit, less congested ways to get gas. I really don't like getting gas in the city. That's something to avoid. You go in the city, you go to people you know. And be fucking around like that. Driving in them gas stations and shit because you ain't thinking. Not there. You know, when you don't live there, you ain't paying attention like you should pay attention. So you like me. I get gas in Madison, Wisconsin, where University of Wisconsin is. I get gas there, and I won't have to get gas until I'm outside of Benton Harbor. So I ain't got to mess around in Chicago. So if you do, that's good advice. 41, turn to Lakeshore Drive. You can turn off to go to Lakeshore. It'd be better like if you was like 94. Just follow 94 to Lakeshore. It's probably easier. But yeah, you could go to Lakeshore that way too. I hate taking the 2 lanes. I'd rather take the troll. And I said this, when we went, the tolls was shut down because of COVID. It's funny, everything was shut down. When we came back, we took the Skyway coming in outside of Gary. And we had to pay. We had to pay $11. It was $11 to hit them. The night before, it was like when we came, that shit was closed. I hit 90 and I went south of Chicago, south of Milwaukee, which when I went through it 4 or 5 years ago, it was all construction. This time it was done, which was kind of smooth, but I don't mind. Milwaukee really wasn't bad. Like if I would have been coming, like going east, yeah, Sunday would have been the fucked up day because the Brewers was playing and the Bucks was playing. So it was congested. Milwaukee was congested trying to go in town, definitely. But going out of town, it wasn't so bad. Caden, USA did win. Yeah, I mean, I don't really mind. Like again, it just depends on the time of day. There's spots I like to hit on 41. Like it's might be a quick trip. It's the quick trip. And what's funny is this is in the town, but in this gas station, service station, convenience store, they had 4, and they've always had this. It's right like McDonald's is across the street, and I can't think of the gas station. It's a McDonald's. No, the McDonald's is inside the gas station. Excuse me. And it's 4 or 5 slot machines. I mean, every time I went down, there's always been like 1 or 2. Now it was 4. There was motherfuckers sitting in there. Slot machines in Illinois, in the McDonald's and convenience store, slot machine, where, you know, a lot of times they don't want you to hang out there, and you can hang out there because if you feed that machine, that shit was interesting. I looked at that shit. That shit was interesting. You say you fucked up and forgot to pay the tolls while you were there last month. So you was going east, because I noticed coming on the Skyway you get stopped. That's why it confused me, because when we was going east, it's like you had to pull off, to the tolls, and that was a little different. I had never come across that, where you pull off the road, like coming on the skyline, on the Skyway, excuse me. You get stopped. You know, you get stopped and you pay the tolls. This was like you was supposed to get off, I guess, and I just like floated through it. And then we was like, I drove through one and everything was shut down, and I think it was shut down for COVID. And they was like, you know, use these passes, and then we was trying to get into it, and the passes was closed down. So we'll see if they send us anything, because we really didn't know. But I'm not used to where you have to pull off into the toll, so that kind of got me too. Okay. Yeah. What is that? What highway is that goes in front of, like, it'll take you to Gurney Mills, and it will also take you to Great America. I can't think. Is that? Oh yeah, that's the other Skyway. That's the way you would have to go. You would take that other Skyway instead of taking 41. There's a Skyway like the Botanical Gardens. I was trying to that. What is that? But the Botanical Gardens is trying to think what that's called. But like right before you get, right after you pass the Botanical Gardens, you can turn off and take the Skyway, and it'll take you by Gurney Mills, and it'll take you to 90, and it'll take you by Gurney Mills in Great America. But it's the Botanical Gardens, and it's a suburb. I can't think of the name of the suburb. Milwaukee and Chicago. No, okay. And again, you know, they have that serpent energy. That serpent energy is in Chicago. Far as away as the toll who lives under the bridge. This beast loves the roundabouts. It loves it. And in roundabouts save money. We had a 5-minute light. I hated it, and I'm glad they did that work. It's so much smoother. I meant through all the old heads say that the original roads. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I've watched that shit in 30 years change. You know, because at one point I worked in Chicago every weekend for probably close to 20 years. Every weekend we did games. At one point it was just spring, summer. But as things changed, the program that was set up was almost alternative AAU some ways. And so it started going longer and longer. And even sometimes, like right soon as the basketball season ended in March, depending on the states, we was picking back up again. And I was one of the first cats that really hustled being a ref. I mean, really hustled being a referee. Like did all of it. I did football, boys and girls basketball, and volleyball. And so it was constantly moving, constantly doing tournaments. Like volleyball tournaments be all day. On Saturdays, they'd be all day. Nothing to work a 10-hour, 12-hour volleyball tournament. Very common. Because it goes into, you know, having games and then playoffs. And yeah, that's how long it takes. Especially before they changed the rules. The rules where you only score when you got the ball. That was ridiculous. I'll tell you how slow, when it was the old-fashioned rules that you only scored when you had the ball. Do you know how long little girl games ago? I'm still sitting at a couple little girl games from the past. I got to go check on myself. Those little girl games are still going. You have games where the little girl hit into the net, they give it up. Another little girl hit into the net, they give it up. Nobody scores. There's no scoring. You see how long those games used to be? So when they adapted the college rules, the games went much quicker. Weren't as boring. When I drive through Chicago, you got to drive like you in the Indy 500. No, that's not the key of driving through Chicago. The key of driving through Chicago is if you smell weed, follow the car. That's the key. You smell weed, get behind that car, you're going to get really high. So if you haven't smoked any weed and you're driving and you smell weed in your air conditioner, get right behind that car as long as you can. And then when that car pulls off, find the next car. You smell weed again, get behind that car. And you'll get a nice buzz driving through Chicago. Especially you roll the windows down. It'd be almost like some Cheech and Chong shit and you on the highway rolling. You get such a buzz. A lot of weed smell in Chicago. Chicago smells like two things: refinery oil and weed. And I can't say that about that many cities where you go through and smell, the city smells like weed. Chicago smells like weed. But yeah, you got to drive fast. You ain't got to worry about it. Let me tell you, and this is what my one of my best friends, how dirty he did me. So he's speeding, not paying attention. I don't know what he was doing with the weed. He had the weed in his hand. Maybe he was trying to drive and roll a blunt. I don't remember. But this nigga gets stopped by the police for speeding and being a goof. And so he had the weed in his hand as he stopped. Soon as he stopped, he threw the shit in my lap. He threw his weed in my lap. So I would get in trouble. And I thought fast, and I just grabbed it and held it. And it came down to it as the police didn't really want to do all the paperwork. He's like, oh, I ain't doing all the paperwork for this shit. Y'all go ahead. He let us go. And I had to punch him in his face on the way. I was like, I'm gonna sock the fuck out you. And so he's like, yeah. So he chinned up and I punched him. And we was cool. That's kind of how men have to handle it, because he did some bitch ass shit. He really did some bitch ass shit. And I wanted to beat his ass more, but he was my guy. But he punked out on me there. Malad J said that's what would happen if you drive behind me. Damn, getting high for free. Oh yeah. And I've done that before. My shit keeps falling. Damn, I forget. Oh, here we go. I've done that before too. It's funny. It's some funny shit. Don't take it to man. Oh, he had to take one there. And I know that's why the cop didn't do nothing. He was like, I don't feel like fucking with all this paperwork. I was just ready. And I kind of laughed. He let us go. He ain't do shit. But yeah, I was like, you getting one for this, buddy. So and that's how men handle things. He wasn't mad. I wasn't trying to knock his teeth out, but he had to take one. I ain't trying to hurt my friend, but to do that bitch ass shit, you got to take something. You got to take something. So, but that's how men handle their business, I could have been fake to myself and just let that shit in the West be riding and be mad the whole way home, holding that shit in. No, just socked his ass and got it out the way. He knew he deserved it. He knew he deserved it. Yeah, he took it like a man. He took it. He knew. He chucked his shit up and pow. So it was over. We ain't had to do nothing else. So it wasn't festering in me and, holding resentment against the nigga. He understood. Shit, he was part of the man code. He was my guy. He just knew he had to take one. He knew I had to take one. But that's all right. That's how men should do things. Be a man about it. Handle it like a man. Don't fester and be mad at your friend and shit. Like I would do shit for motherfuckers and complain about doing the shit. It's like, don't do the shit. So if I decide to do the shit, I just hold it in. I slip sometimes. I slip a little bit because I think of other people. And if I look at other people put in a situation where it's hard on them, and I'm like, I kind of feel like I don't know. So I feel for other people. I'm empathic. I can't watch football injuries. I really can't. And I years ago I would watch it and I would feel it. And that's another thing I want to say is it's great to debate people, but like if you really want to hear what a person says, you really got to put yourself into hearing the information. Because if you is a shark and you just going from channel and want to debate, and I've been caught into that, but now I know better. The thing is if you're going to listen to information that interests you, then you listen to it so you can hear it. And then what you disagree with, you don't become ignorant to what you disagree with. You just look at why you disagree with it and you hold that to it. And as you analyze the thing, but you want to be able to hear someone. And sometimes you take your prejudice into a situation, you won't hear it. So think about that. And I think I said that yesterday. You got to think about that. It don't matter who's right sometimes. Because right is right. I mean, that's true. The truth doesn't move. It doesn't waver. And that's the thing of space-time is what happens is when you move through space-time and you're able to look at a point of view, because that's what people don't realize about me. When you telling me points of view, I can actually look at that. I can actually put myself there to see how real it is. Now, I know when this information is presented, I can see if it's illusion or not. Because a lot of times if it's not real, even though they reading it from a source, you can see that it's just illusion coming up. And I don't mean 2D illusion. I mean just it's like it's holes in the story. And even those you don't have to really verbally say you see the holes. You know that the holes are there. I'd rather be happy than right. And that's kind of like humble to make the flow of things move. Sometimes you have to be humble about it. It's just okay. And and you don't have to tear anybody down when you know. You don't have to tear anybody down. You just it's in your knowing. It's funny looking at all these cameras. And then if I had my talk show on, I'd be looking at like 1, 2, 3, 4 me's. And each me looks different. But anyway, that's kind of how it will work for you. That's kind of how it works is it's not all about conflict all the time. And some people like conflict. I have a cousin, he's on one of these YouTube things. He likes the conflict. I mean, he really does. He's a shark like that in YouTube. But he's a shark that if there's a wall there, he doesn't go well with the wall, and he doesn't go when the walls start pushing back. That kind of gets him as well, because he's just a shark. He only knows one way. And for him, there's no compromise. And that's rigid to me. That's being very rigid. Because there's nothing wrong with compromising. Compromising doesn't mean you lose. It just means you kind of did a treaty. It's kind of like on hold to make things move freely. And sometimes when you let things move freely, even though you may disagree with them, they end up working out in your way. That's what you learn. You're like, yeah, I don't believe this is some bullshit, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut. And then before you know it, you're somewhere smoking a fat one or drinking some good beer or smoking a good cigar or getting a hookah on some shit you wasn't even looking forward to doing. Some fun shit for you comes out just because of how you do your magic. And when you went into it, you was not agreeable to it. But it's like, okay, because you rolled with it, the shit benefited you. And I've counted a lot of them where the shit has benefited me, definitely. Oh, I feel so much better tonight after not sleeping for about 5 days. The 2 nights of sleep, I'm feeling. Yesterday, my energy was really low. I'm refreshed today. I was able to recharge and try to bring it the best way I can bring it. And I want to say this too. Like when I say I'm the holder of the continuous ball game, this is something that I take serious. And I'm the only one that says this. And I'm the only one that really practices this the way it should be practiced. Now, Jewish faith people saw very early on about the continuous ball game. They saw it very early. And they knew that basketball was something that they needed to control. Spiritually, They needed to control basketball, and they are the first ones. The Jewish faith people are the first ones to set up basketball leagues. And then you look at the colleges. Again, the Jesuits colleges is ran by some other folks. I don't care what all these talking heads out here say. They ain't the ones. That name may be on the college, but that ain't who control it. The Jesuits is only the army. That's it. And so this is why they corrupt it. For us, I don't want to use the word religion because it's not really a religion. It is just a way that's in all of us. Where they want to take you from the time you can crawl. It's a play area. It's energy for any age. That's why in a park you can put a 90-year-old man and then a baby, and they would get the same jolt from the park. It would be able to fulfill an energy for both. And there's very few things that can do that can satisfy the old and the young at the same time, and not just as a watcher. You participate. Even an old person, he's feeding the birds or whatever, he's in the park of energy. And you can put a baby in a swing, one of them swings that hold him in there. Now, I know a lot of people talk about depression, but there's ways to get rid of this. The parks are also for that. Now, I would say a baseball park or a basketball park or somewhere if they play outdoor football. Baseball and basketball is probably better because it's easier to access. But it would take away depression and it can take away grief. And we're not told that they can be used like that because they don't build those for that. They don't practice that. So they take that away from us, where they don't build just parks where it's dedicated just to grieving people, but parks. Because even if you build it, nobody ever plays on it. The energy is there because it's the idea that's put into making it. And it's even better in some ways because that's what the aim of building it was for. But that's what it was for. But now what we have is good enough too. Because the park, those energies can also it can release. When you shoot a shot, you release it. When you throw a ball, you release it. It's the same way with some of these other problems. They can be released. A young lady was, she's posting that she's feeling types of depression. And it's like, I had sent her some stones. And there's stones that can help with that. Now, I'm not saying they're the final answer, but I'm saying a daily practice with this can help. You will run yourself ragged, as I've learned to move smarter. Definitely move smarter. Definitely move smarter. Have you seen stories about the sun burning people recently? No. What's interesting, you say that. I would almost say today might have been a day where the real sun was out. I might say that. I got a view of what it was today, and it was a little different. So it could have been the real sun today. That's what it appeared like. When I first caught an angle, and again, it's different angles, and I live on a hill. I have bad angles for all that. But today, I hit a certain angle. It's like, this looks different than normal. So could be. You'd have to tell me where to find that. I'll look that up. Well, I'll look that up. But I hadn't heard anything about that. But that could be. But I usually sun gaze. I love the crescent moon. The crescent moon is great energies. To me, it always looked like a smile in the sky. To me. So I enjoy seeing the crescent moon. early crescent moon. I don't know if I had any more thoughts. Keep. Okay, that was my final. So I'll just ramble for the rest of the time. I'll just ramble for the rest of the time. My wife has been complaining about sunburn. Okay. I'm still leaning towards the Bucks. Just that's what they like. They like teams that have won it before, and I would just say that the Bucks are probably going to win. That looks like what's going to happen. I mean, they're not. I'm gonna have to look to see how these first 3 games did in the ratings, because I bet they didn't win. Now going through Milwaukee again, there's a lot of traffic there, but it was because of a baseball game too. So, but the NBA was there, so it made double, triple traffic going into town. So, hey Sebastian, thank you for joining me. Team USA locked in. Greg said locked in for silver. I like NFL Week 1 picks. Mark my words. Redskins 3-5 right now. Okay. I agree. Bucks will win. They're promoting Gannis a lot, comparing him to MJ and Shaq. Well, I said the other day they showed the commercial of Jabbar and Oscar Robertson, and then they showed what's his name, 22. They showed him. They showed him and Gannis. And again, they want Gannis to be the poster boy, because that's their goal. I mean, it's not just the European looking like them Nazi Europeans. It's these foreigners, this African too. Middleton and Gannis, but it's still this foreigner. They've given this foreigner MVP, and could have somebody else could have won it too. But this is agenda driven too. Just because he's brown skinned does not mean that he's taking the place of American. He still is taking the place of American. When the first 2 years he played, he did not have better skills than an American player, given the same opportunity. I mean, if I want to bite anyway into Kwame, given the same opportunity, Kwame wasn't given the same opportunity. He was held back. In a lot of ways, Kwame didn't even get this opportunity, and he was the number 1 pick. Gannis wasn't the number 1 pick. Do you see how they held Kwame back comparative to Gannis? And you look at both of their. Now, this is how misinformation. He went in the league at 18, and dudes was trying to say he was 19. So I think he was 18. Now I'll recheck the records. Greek is Nigerian, exactly. Greek, Nigerian, but he's Nigerian, and so he's Hakeem, the same thing. He's taking the place of an American, and again, the first 2 years he would have been cut by anybody else. Now you don't think he can shoot free throws now? You don't think he can shoot now? He definitely couldn't shoot them first 2 years. That's why when they showed the few highlights, it was dunking again. Wasn't shooting any jumpers. Wasn't showing a complete game. Brothers get cut or get treated like Kwame was treated. Same way with Dirk. His first 2 years should have been cut. I mean, these players, they get sit the first 2 years and then they full-time starters after that. And basketball is a game where you can get better. So the thing is, if you play on the other team against the Globetrotters, I watched one dude score 50 points against the Globetrotters. They lost, but he scored 50. I paid attention to one of the games. This dude buzzed 50, and they said it after the games he had 52. But this dude had 50 against the Globetrotters. One of the Washington Generals players that played with him. This guy would sometimes play with the Globetrotters. Sometimes he would play with the Generals. He was one of them in-between guys. Well, he scored 50. So anybody playing against decent competition can get better. So that's what you have to consider when you consider him and you consider the opportunity he's gotten. Because if they play you, yes, you will get better. But it's if they play you. And we see other players don't get this consideration, so we know it's a creation. It's a Frankenstein. You know, they've created a Frankenstein. It's all about agenda. Where it still says that a foreign player is better than American players. That's still the agenda. That a foreign player is better than American-born player. So we need to get more foreign-born players because they're better. And we know that's not the case. They're better in agenda, but they're not better as far as ability. But they get more chances. And that can't be denied. Football is the only place they'll never get a hold. They're just not built for pro football. They'll never get a hold of that. It's not in their culture. And they've tried to make football their culture, and it just didn't work. They'll never get that energy. But they made basketball vulnerable to that. Better. Better. So that's kind of my opinion on looking at it like that. And you can pay attention, see what you think. Let me tell you about the soccer, because you know some kind of soccer is going on. I couldn't tell you. It's Connect or some shit. CON some shit. But let me tell you how badly scripted soccer can be. About months ago, I showed a video and they made me take it off. They took it off. It said that this dude had never scored, and the odds of him scoring was something like 200-1. This fucker gets a goal in the end of the game. Because, you know, soccer, it ain't a lot of substitutions. You pretty much play the whole game. Other than timeouts. This dude's odds was 200-1 in the last game of the year. He scored a goal. And damn if he didn't score. The goalie, instead of kicking the ball downfield, he kicks it directly to this guy. And then he goes one way, the guy kicks it the other way. And I showed the fakeness in this. So tonight I see the same thing. So all the defenders on the defensive side were up to the midline, you know, far as they can go. But what the funny thing was is a forward of offenses was kind of breaking. So the offensive forward is breaking, and his man points. His teammates are guarding men on the midline. He purposely went forward so his guy could run behind him for a breakaway. And then the goalie, instead of kind of getting a deeper position, the goalie kind of comes out to misses him, and the goalie does the same thing. The goalie goes the wrong way, sticks his foot like he was trying to block it. And it was like the fakest stuff if you know what you're looking for. It was a setup play for them to score. And then wherever the game, it was Grenada and Honduras. There's a lot of dark people from Honduras, or are those Africans? I don't know. Because the fans didn't quite look like the players. The players were kind of dark jet black. And the fans, not so much. So, I don't know. But it showed you that even that wasn't real. That was fake. Clearly a scripted play. So this is on TV. So it shows you that all plays, all games are scripted. Okay. So I thought it was kind of clever. But again, you have to have eyes to see this stuff. See how the whole play opens up. And that's what I did. I ran it around, and I'm like, I watched the defender that's supposed to peel back with his man. He was man for man. So, and his guy didn't have a ball. So there's no way he had no other responsibility he had no responsibility to run up. When his man was running back, and he was supposed to turn and run with his man, not point, because there was nobody, everybody else was up to midline guarding people. But that was the other part of the fix. They up on the midline on purpose. I just saw that shit with that boy getting pulled like that in soccer. I would have beat his ass. That was not a fucking soccer play. That's my first love. With that boy getting pulled up like that in soccer. Yeah, okay, Keith. Yeah, I would have beat his ass. That's not a fucking exactly. It was no amount of money would have made me do that for the sport I love, basketball or soccer. Hey Vanetta, thanks for joining. Yeah, it was like it just made no sense that he went up. It's like he went up, and it's like, why did you go up? I couldn't understand that. I kind of just laughed watching the play. It was like no reason to go up. So and I just throw that in. um, so I just throw that in to pay attention, and you see that it's all scripted. You see that it is not real. You see that it's nothing more than like a movie. It's nothing more like a movie. So that is part of it. I guess I want to bring up a point to see what people think about this. So if the parent does something, if the parent put out some truths, the parent talked about something and put it out there, and maybe it did hurt someone's pride, but it was no lie, should the children be penalized? So this is in the family, and two family members have a squabble. One family member presents truth, and two other family members, the truth smacks them in the face because they played nice and like it wasn't truth out there. The shit, everybody else knew the truth, but I put it out there. And now the children are being penalized. What do you think about that? What kind of people are these that would penalize their own family because they don't like me? So they penalize these children. They ignore these children that are their blood because they're mad at me. And that's the evil that people don't understand, that people can be evil as fuck. And then you see how really evil these people were from the start. The controller is evil and has always been evil. But the controller is like with Joe Kennedy. Joe Kennedy fucked around all them years, had all them hoes. He was a movie producer, fucking all these movie stars. But what happened when his ass had a stroke? He still had one of his hoes around that would, even with a stroke, would suck him off and make him feel good. But finally, Rose put all that shit out. Rose said, you fucked around on me so long, and now you can't fuck around and you just in that chair. I'm not going to make it easy for you. So it's that kind of thing. That's a straight up evilness. And that's some evil shit that I got to face, you know. I got to face this evil. People are children for that. The children are innocent, have nothing to do with it. There you go, Valerie. They have nothing to do with it. But yet, since they couldn't take it out on me, they take it out on my children. My children reach out to these motherfuckers, and you know they're like they're I've got the power. You know, they think money makes you not wicked. That's what people think. They think money makes you not wicked. If you got wicked intentions like that, you are wicked. You're acting and moving through a wicked manner because you want to make somebody pay. Since they can't make me pay, they make my children pay. And that's okay. My children are going to be fine. It's their loss. Because the thing about it is my children are younger than these people. And when these people get buried and everybody looking down on them, my energy going to be away. And they ain't going to get to push the spiritualness that I can give all the family. I'm going to be like, hey, wherever you motherfuckers land, that's where y'all land. My children are going to be the same way. My children are all time walkers as well. Maybe I shouldn't put that out there, but that's it. It's obvious that that's going to be in them. So that's just a proclamation. And what do they say in Hamburger Hill? It don't mean nothing, not a thing. It don't mean nothing, not a thing. But well, he talked about it, so it must mean something. No, I point out some fucked up behavior by old ass people. It's like my great grandmother used to always disinherit people. If you didn't pick her up and take her to the store, she'd disinherit you. You're like, Grandma, I got to go to high school. I can't take you to the doctor's appointment at 8:30. And Grandma would be like, well, I'm cutting you out of my will. Grandma, I'm in high school, but you can drive. But Grandma, I got to go to high school, but you can drive. You can miss the day that Grandma don't work like that. I laugh at that shit. That shit's funny to me. I peeped that with Maya. I was tripping like I know she could do better than that. Is she being punished because she chose to take the year off? Could be. I used to try to whoop my ex-wife's side of the family for being mean to my 2 kids because of them falling out. And that ain't funny, but I understand. And I didn't understand. That's messed up. That's why I don't deal with certain family members. I don't have time for the bullshit. But yeah, PJ, I know families like that too. I'm gonna tell you, my best friend, his wife's family's from Iowa. She went a couple weeks ago. We was about to kick it. I was going through, I forget what I was doing, and I didn't get a chance to go just watch games with him because that's what we do. We just kick it, eat some shit, and just watch games and shit and laugh and shit. And but he didn't go down there. He didn't go with her family. She made her children go with her, but he didn't go. He's like, yeah, there's no reason for me to go. I gotta laugh because I know how you feel. Like my oldest son has been to Michigan a few times, and he don't go see my side of the family. He don't know them. They don't know him. And that's they miss. You know, that's energy they don't get. So, and so it's just like, if you don't want to enjoy your blood, that's on you, because that's arrows that get thrown at you. Because again, you want your heart to be light as a feather. You think that when you got some feathered, some arrows in your heart, that's gonna make it way too much because you was evil. You showed evilness towards children that was innocent of anything. So. Yes, it is a shame. My basketball coach says it's a cry and a shame, but my people's all right. But that had to be put in the ethers, because truth is truth. Truth is truth. I know some people don't like hearing truth and being reminded of the truth. Now, if I lied on some people, then yeah, I'm wrong. But I ain't lie on nobody. I told the whole story. Motherfuckers don't like the whole story. And I ain't no saintly person. I am perfectly imperfect. I am perfectly imperfect. And I've never claimed to be anything else but that. I try every minute. And can't no one say that I don't try to help who I can. I do my best to look out for people. And it's a coldness, and you can be penalized for helping people nowadays. So you have to be careful how you even help people. I saw an old lady looking for some shit, and I was like, can I get that for you? And after she ignored me, I kept moving. Like, get it yourself, bitch. Old chick is thumbing, trying to poke some shit, and she's about 5'2" and ain't reaching that shit. She's barely touching the counter. But after a while, you just got to move. Yeah, they don't forget. That's right. So I ain't lying on nobody. I told the truth. And they may not have liked the truth, but it was the truth. So you better blow that shit out. My grandma be like, I'm writing you out the will. You didn't act like I wanted you to act. I'll create a new position. I'll have somebody be in your position, and we'll feel better about that. And we'll celebrate that position. That is how distorted these people are. They're that distorted. So these ain't family. These is demon-like movers. These is demon movers. These ain't families. These is demon movers. Some kind of way they've signed up to be with fucking demons. So the one in charge is a fucking demon. God damn. You not only ugly, you stink. You really stink. You need to take a shower and do some shit, because I can smell your smell in the hallway.
Smells like
Yeah, it smelled like no deodorant for like 2 days. Then I thought your shorts supposed to be black and white, and they look just mostly like off black and off white. Damn. I put that pizza in the fridge. Mr. Big Face, who do you think you are, Mr. Big Face? Is that just the potatoes? I ate the. Oh, that's the pizza. I ate the. I put that chicken in my salad, but I didn't eat the potatoes.
What the fuck are you talking about?
There was a thing like that in there. Oh, that was chicken and potatoes. You just warm the shit up, you know.
That's so salty ass pizza. That garlic salt.
It's pretty good. You got to crust crispy. That's what I like. I like crispy pizza. And you're smacking too. Like shut your mouth. You know, I don't want to see that. You was taught that.
Weren't you occupied?
Yeah, but I'm now looking at you because you're in my space, and you were taught as a little boy not to smack. You would get smacked for smacking. Oh, I'm just having fun. Egyptian musk. What?
Where's the chair cushion?
The what? I'm sitting on it. You know, I have a Egyptian musk. You know what? He needs some of that Drakkar. He needs that. Here, you can add a whole bottle of Drakkar for the man who has nothing. Oh, I just have fun. It's just comedy. Should I say this or not? Gosh, I'm not going to tear brothers down, but I'll say it like this. It's like, if you've been on this platform 10 years and ain't nothing changed, and all of a sudden it's worse, that should tell you something. You've been doing this for 10 years, and all of a sudden in the last 7-8 months, your show is just the look of the show is just, I mean, just as deteriorating. You got each other like crammed together, and everybody's looking nervous. That should tell you something. And you just trying to hang in there to get these, what is it called when they can pay you through this shit? You super chat. You know, you hanging on there to see how many super chats you can get, and yet your presentation is falling so behind that y'all just cramped on a little kitty. You know how children have tables? The children have little grade school tables. You know, you got all these grown ass people cramped, you know, shoulder to shoulder, you know, shoulder to shoulder trying to present some shit. I don't get it. I don't get how these so-called superstars who didn't get fired show that kind of presentation. Hey, come here. So that's all I'll say. It kicked my mic off again. So that's them.
Unplug it and plug it back in.
I kicked it off.
Unplug it and plug it back in.
And it'll reset this.
No.
It'll reset this, and I don't feel like resetting it.
No.
It's gonna reset it if you do it. So
where's OBS? What are you streaming through?
I'm streaming through TalkShoe. So they're doing something to TalkShoe. Just kicking this mic out. It's not there.
Just plug it back in.
I know, but I think it's going to kick me off.
No, it's not. Why would it do that? It's a microphone.
If they can't hear me, it's going to kick it off.
No, it's not. What are you talking about?
Now, what if it happens again?
What?
Reset. Guess they can hear me. Hey, Amber. Baby man child. Mr. Lamborghini said baby man child. He is.
I'm a real man.
He is. That's Mr. Big and Mr. Strong. You still haven't figured out what Natalie got you. You're going to laugh. I don't know. It might not make you laugh. I want you to show it to Cameron. Cameron would get a good laugh.
What is it?
And you'll know. I'm not going to tell you. You'll see it, and it'll be like,
You can just tell me.
I'm not going to tell you. I want you to experience it.
I'm not going to ever find it.
You will. You'll find it. It might be a day or two, but you will find it. And once you find it, you're going to be like,
What does it look like?
Not you. It looks like not you. That's what it looks like. She got him on this one. Whoops. She definitely, his sister got him on this one.
I'll literally never find it.
You will. And this is the same girl. I had her laughing. He likes to pick her up, and he picked her up, and she farted right in his face. And he didn't even know what to do. For a second, he was stunned like a motherfucker. He was like, he didn't really know what to do. He wanted to drop her ass. I know he did. I looked at him like, I should drop this chick. She done farted in my face. I know for a second he thought to just drop her down, but he put her down while she giggled. And she couldn't even tell the story because the shit made her laugh so hard. I told her today, and she's just crying, laughing. She's just crying, laughing. So, 8 win with the drip. Thank you, Mr. Lamborghini. We was talking about the Maya Moore criminal reform script and her marrying the dude, them singing that hymn tonight on the 30 for 30. Yeah. Yeah. Plus that other one you showed me too, and I can't get to it. You showed me that other one too, which PJ made an excellent catch, but I don't think I can pull it off. But yeah, I saw it was on. I didn't watch any of it, but yeah, that was an odd one. It was like she quit hooping, and again, she kind of saw the writing on the wall. Augusta, she was getting old. Lindsey Wells was getting old. Lindsey Wells started coaching University of Minnesota. Augusta, she coaching somewhere. And so their run was coming into an end. They remember they had got beat by the Lakers, or not the Lakers, but the Sparks. They got beat by the Sparks in that last second shot. I don't think she played again after that. And that chick shot it, beat them here. Or they was at the U maybe. But were they at the U or were they at Target? I want to say that game was at the U, not Target. It might have been at Target. That shit killed them. They had another championship.
Nigga, use my tape.
That is my tape. Yeah, it is. It's been in my bag. What are you talking about? No. Yeah, that tape been in my bag. I bought that tape because I had 3 rows of it.
No. This one's mine. This is a brand new one. I bought it for Edward Scissorhands.
No.
40 hands.
No.
I have a picture of me.
I don't care what kind of picture you got. That's my tape. I just took it out of my bag. It was in my backpack.
2 months ago.
It's been in my backpack at least 6 months. So I don't know what you're talking about 2 months ago. You had some tape from somewhere else. Because the scissors was in the bag too. I had the tape and the scissors.
I don't know, man. I bought these when Harold came back.
I don't know who Harold is. Weird Harold?
No, the one in the Marines.
Okay. But yeah, I thought that was, but that's the thing is like, how would she stop playing all this, give all this up? She even quit playing in Europe because that's where they make the real money is playing in Europe. She even quit playing in Europe to get that dude out of jail and then marry him. Isn't that some kind of client lawyer weirdness? So you know what though? You know what it echoes? It echoes Eldridge Cleaver and Catholic Cleaver. It's the same story. And I'm just now thinking of this. The same thing with Catherine Cleaver and Eldridge Cleaver is Maya Moore and that dude. It's the same story. That dude supposedly wrote all these letters to Catherine, Eldridge Cleaver, and all his letters were so pimpy, so macked out that she fell in love through the letters. So I imagine it was something like that, but I see far as ritual, it's the same type of ritual. It's like the chick won the lottery and she's with a bum. There was always a bum, but it was her bum. But yet he went back to jail. So she bought him all this shit, but eventually the dude had to go back to jail. So she did the shit outside of him, and and now the dude is crying, trying to sue. It's like the church tried to sue her. And it was kind of phony. The chick buys a plantation, and then they shame her like, don't you know this used to be a plantation? I would have like, hell yeah, it used to be a plantation. Motherfuckers used to get work like a motherfucker out there, but I own this shit now, so. What did they say? From the slave ship to the spaceship? Wasn't that Jesse Jackson? From the slave ship to the spaceship. Well, Ron McNair got blowed up. He blew up real good. Dude looks like he had a little zest on him. It's funny. From the slave ship to the spaceship. Jesse got a rapper to make that shit up. That's some funny shit. That's some funny shit. You know, I was with my ex, would see my daughter, and there was a show. Now, this is the funny thing. This is a true story. The dude who played Mini-Me, and y'all throw his name in there. I don't remember his name, but that dude is from Michigan. He's from, trying to think where they're from. More Quaker country, and I'm drawing a blank where the Quaker country is. More of that area. But this Mini-Me played rocket football and shit with my cousin's cousins. My cousin's family. He played rocket football with one of their cousins' dad, whatever this little town is. I can't think of the name of it. But Mini-Me was on a reality show. They gave Mini-Me he drank less than this. He drank less than this. Mini-Me was fucked up. And you know he can't walk. He was so little, like, you know, like a baby little, where he can't walk. So they had a little thing, you know, he got the electric buggy. So Mini-Me drinks this couple drinks of beer. He's fucked up, and he's driving this little thing around, just weird.
Fast and Furious 9. When did that come out?
Mm-hmm. Anyway, you're interrupting me. So Mini-Me is driving this thing, and he keeps making these weird noises. Then he runs into the corner. He falls off his thing and hits his head against the wall, knocks him down. He gets up, whips his whatever out. You can't see it. It's so little. He whips it out. He just starts pissing in the corner. Then he climbed back up in his chair. And he's like, Mark. I mean, shit was so funny. And we were talking about that shit. Mini-Me got drunk. A young pretty basketball player marrying someone who was convicted. And I saw it on GMA and was like, yeah, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Like, why would she be attracted to that? What about him? Driving his little wheelchair. Yeah, he was driving his little wheelchair. This was like, my daughter's 15, so this is a show about 15, 16 years ago. But the shit, we had got a room just to get away, and it had a hot tub, and we was watching that shit. We smoked the joint. We sitting there. We was just like watching the shit, and the shit was just funny as fuck. She's like, yeah, that shit was funny. He's driving a little wheelchair. Then he hit the corner. He hit his head. Then he got up and just started pissing. And I mean, you imagine what he working with. He ain't working with too much, you know. He working with, like, you know, something less than that, you know. What do they say? Get it up, but just can't get it in. But that's these stories they want to tell, and that's the stories that be told. But yes, the Maya's story makes no sense. It makes no sense at all that she put everything. Now, she could have been hurt, but that was her passion, and now, you know, because of her passion, she's got a husband, you know, and she didn't have to worry about him cheating for a while. He's been in the same place for a while, so I don't know. I think it was Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew. No, it wasn't Celebrity Rehab. There was no rehab. These mugs was just living in a house or some shit. I mean, maybe so, but they was just all together, and he was drinking and everything. But he didn't drink much. They should have, you know how you can get those little cans of Pepsi like that? They should have gave him some shit like that. So, you know, Mini-Me should never tell a woman can they feel it. The women gonna lie anyway. You know, he all against the leg and shit. He going crazy on the leg. It's like what the Godfather did. You know, the director talked about why he won't get a Godfather godson the job and shit. And he basically said the dude, it was the best booty he'd ever had. You know, the dude, he done spent $100,000 on giving the chick singing lessons, you know, acting lessons. And then she meets the Godfather's godson, and she's like, fuck you. And then plus he put it on top, he put all that money, and she put that whip appeal on him. And that was the reason. But what's interesting about that scene, You know, it's the same. They use the same house. That's the old what is it? Hearst. They show the old Hearst house. Remember in the Jerk? The Jerk shows the Hearst house too. Remember when the Jerk starts punching people and shit? That's at the Hearst house. But he brags about all the shit. So he shows him the whole house. Now, who takes the motherfucker? Like, to talk shit to somebody, you just gonna take them in the corner of your house where they don't see much. No, he shows them the whole property. And then he shows him his $500,000 prized possession. And they cut the head off. And I'm thinking, how did they cut the horse's head off and put it in the bed? Did they drug the dude? How did the dude sleep so hard where they could just slip a horse up under you? Now, I don't know about y'all. If two dudes is walking in my room with a cut off horse head, I'm shooting them both. I would never sleep that hard. I would never just be sleeping and shit, you know, and like they could just like open up my covers and slip the horse head in there, and I wouldn't know nothing until I woke up. You know how hard you'd have to be sleeping? You'd have to be sleeping incredibly hard to let two people or however many, I guess one person could hold a bloody horse head. And then what about the blood? Like, how did it not blood streak through the house? I mean, were they what is the word, considered enough? So they cut off the horse's head. Was they considered enough to wrap it into something so it didn't get a blood, you know, throughout the whole house? So that to me made no sense. I would have shot them. They come walking in my house with a horse head, I would have shot them like, yeah, this is no dream. 1, 2 in your ass. But no, this motherfucker likes, he's like, they just stuffing a horse head in his bed. You're like, oh, that's just dream and shit. Yeah. Then he wakes up and more wet than you're normal, you know. My first thing would be if I was wet, I was like, God damn, I was so drunk I pissed the bed. Not to look for blood. He feeling something wet and he's like peeling back his covers. I mean, like, so you are alert now when you wake up and feeling all this wetness, but you wasn't feeling all this wetness all night when you've been sleeping in the shit. That didn't make sense. How Biden saying they going door to door? Yeah, I saw that. They put that horse head in the scene on the video game. That's funny. Yeah, Mr. Lamborghini, what can we say? I hear you knocking, but you can't come in. That's all you got to do. Next thing you know, they're going to be at the fair. You know, they're going to be at the fair, consistent fair takers. Hey. So that's what they want, because it ain't going their way. It ain't going their way. Motherfuckers ain't dipping. Motherfuckers ain't dipping, and they're frustrated. They thought that when they would, this is my brother's work, and my brother put this out. Do you notice? And this is really for the melanated people that listen to black radio. And I guess if you've got black TV stations in your area, it goes for this too. How many people have noticed that in the melanated parts of town, there's more signs about this drip? When you listen to the radio, unless you got Cyrus, but if you listen to regular radio, every other commercial is about the drip. Billboards. If you got black TV, it's all over black TV. Y'all notice that? The billboards? You're in the hood, you're seeing the billboards about the drip. You can't get away from it. Even in Detroit, 10 songs in a row. At the end of the 10th song is the drip. Y'all notice that? Melanated areas, the drip is everywhere. On the radio. All around you. Every mile you drive, every other billboard is about the drip. And then you drive to the European parts of town, you never see that. You listen to the European channels in a 12 hours radio play, you might hear it 2 or 3 times. But not to us. To us, it's constantly in your face. On my local radio, every third song, after every third song, it's about the drip. And that's some shit. Ban that thing up. They use juvenile. Well, they use agent. But do you see how they doing it? Because motherfuckers is like, hey. What David Chappelle, and I did the video on Half Baked, David Chappelle said his one of his people was involved in it. They had the drip back then. Same thing, free. And that goes into the CRT. The CRT wouldn't talk about what happened in Tuskegee. It wants to ignore that. And you got these motherfuckers going across the country stirring these Europeans up. They said that one of the books that said that being European is dirty. And they said, well, what if they said that being a black was dirty? And it meant to say that they some dirty ass people. That's kind of what the gist of it is. And what if it was reversed? There used to be books like that said that. 1 little, 2 little, 3 little black boys, 4 little, 5 little, 6 little black boys. Yeah. Your cartoons had it all in it. The Black Crows from Disney's. What's his name? Little Black Sambo. So it used to be like that. But they don't want you to see the real history. And all I'm saying is watch the civil rights era and see how hateful they are. And the hatefulness also comes from control. See, the people that was called poor white trash was given back to South. And so they knew that one way of control was hate. And they don't want that showed anymore. They want to erase that. That's really what they're saying. They want that erased. And you got these people like Anthony Logan or Anthony Brian Logan, whatever the fuck his name is. Capping for him, caking for him. They don't like that. They don't like that the poor white trash was taught how to control by hate. They want that away from there. And as the Americans realize they ain't black, that they was on this land, they're faced with it. They're faced with the real reality of how they took this land. And see, that's my problem with some of these suckers. And don't want to look at conquest. No, I don't want reparations. I want my land back. I want my area where my family came from back. There's no amount of money you could give me to accept something less. Let's talk about that. Fuck what make you people feel better. Because what it tries to say is the latest and greatest. We're nicer. We had nothing to do with it. We're nicer. Oh, that was my grandmother. That's not us. But we got a film of your grandmother hating for about a half hour because somebody's trying to go to school. Well, we need to forget about that. That's not us. Well, what happened in 1830 when you had people in Pennsylvania that killed the black Christian Indians? Where did that come from? Well, we shouldn't think they were Christians. They were converted. They converted to Christianity, like you ask. They lived on their own plot of reservation, like you ask. And yet, in a fit of rage, you murdered women and children. Why? Why was that done? Where did that hate come from? Because that's before poor white trash. So you came here hating, or is it true hating is in the DNA? Is hating in the DNA? Because from the time they got here until the 1960s, it's a history of bloodshed created mostly by them. And then you got that Anthony Brian Logan saying, oh, the Indians here didn't dislike each other at a certain point. Not to the eugenics point of trying to get rid of them all. Now I ain't supposed to be taught. I mean, they can make all these motherfucking slave movies. Let's make some real movies on how they really acted towards our people. Let's make that. Let's show these real massacres on how they conquered the land. Don't tell the fake story of America, how we helped them grow tobacco so they made money finally. Let's talk about the bloodlust that was done by them. Protestants, they're supposed to be so much into being Catholics, yet they participated in bloodlust just like every generation of them that's ever been here. And we sitting under conquest. But brothers like that ABJ or whatever his name is, he cake for them. He's the cake ass motherfucker. Because he's dark as this, yet he's front runner for them. Looks better when we have a darky say it. Looks better when one of your people says it ain't shit, then that's how it, we need to get somebody out there that says this ain't shit, that we need to ignore that. And let me say this, it ain't a melanated person that's over 50 that ain't felt that bullshit that they about. Europeans feeling some kind of way just because you melanated. And if you say that shit ain't happened to you or your family, you fucking a cake ass motherfucker. You lying. You straight up lying. It has been affected. And I can give you a conservative point of view. And I brought this up last night. I'm gonna bring this up again. It's people I know, like my ex-wife, didn't have to pay to go to college. If I didn't get a football scholarship, I couldn't have went. My parents made too much money. I couldn't go for free. They would have to pay. Now, because certain people, certain parents failed, because they failed and you grew up poor, you was getting free college. My ex-wife got that. Some of my cousins got that. But I'm held back because my parents wasn't failures. I am held back because my parents wasn't failures. You was helped because your parents was failures. You was helped. Now, is that fair? You've got a system that obviously can help people. But why it only help people whose parents was failures? Why was those the only people that could get help? When you're born in America, you get a front row seat to the freak show. That's funny. That's funny. I read a story about how they reduced a man's 4-year sentence to 1 year, and then they worked a deal with him to take the vaccine. I haven't heard that. Wow. They are campaigning real hard. Indeed, they are. And again, anytime you hear somebody else say, if you live somewhere else, that's government talk. That's government talk. That's agent talk. If you hear anyone say, well, if you go live over there, it's worse than China, it's worse here, that's what agents talk like. Let's make that perfectly clear. If you bring that up, that's agent talk right there. This is my country. You telling me my people was here before they was here, that I should suffer? That I got to go see how it is over there? I can't get my lands back? That's your answer to me? It could be worse. That's what that means. When they say if you go over to other countries, what they telling you is it could be worse. That's what that means. That's what agents mean. It could be worse. That's what they're trying to tell you. It could be worse. So be happy. And what did Kwame say about that? So be happy because it could be worse. That's what agents tell you. Be happy, it could be worse. That's what these agents say. That's agent talk. That's government informer talk. Government intelligence, whatever the fuck you want to call it. That's how they talk. It could be worse. So be happy it's not worse. And that's realer than real deal Holyfield. You agents and motherfuckers, you know how I feel. I'm friends with agents. I'm friends with some. What is it? What do they say? Keep your friends close, but what? Keep your friends close, but what? I listen so I can hear them. I listen so I can hear them. Enemies closer. There you go. I listen so I can hear them. And once they start showing their hand, you got to look at that's in your hand, buddy. You didn't throw that trump out. You still holding that trump. You still got that trump in your hand, baby. So I don't want to hear that shit. Don't tell me it could be worse. It is worse. It is worse. We live in a bloodthirsty country. We live in a country that had what, 4 years of peace, and y'all cap for them 4 years of peace. You cake ass niggas say how wonderful it is when we only have 4 years of peace and 40 years, 245 years we've had 4 years of not fighting. That's who you guys you're on their side. You can't tell me that's not a natural bloodlust. And they have convinced every generation to do your bloodlusting for them. Every generation does their bloodlusting for them. Just like I mentioned, my great uncle, 80 years ago, bloodlusting for them. And they'll never do what happened in World War II, where they kill other Europeans. They learned quickly from that. They damn near annihilated themselves. They damn near did. They got rid of a lot of them. And they was like, hey, they looking across the table like, why are we killing people that look like us? We need to kill people that look melanated in a greater scale. We can't ever kill a bunch of us to like this. Whatever, Bailey, I'm sorry. I know it went no sound. They want to be content with the world decaying. You think, let me see. They want to be content with the world decaying. When people say, yeah, I thought you could. When people say it can be worse, the situation is already at its worst. There you go. There you go. Do you think religion is just mind control? Absolutely, it's mind control. A1 is timeless have been broken and reprogrammed. Bill Cosby. I don't know. I don't know if I mean, when they killed his son, he was kind of broken in. That was part of decline, but everything he's done is the script. That's all. I'm hearing people out of that jail saying he wasn't even up in there. They were saying the same thing about OJ, that he really wasn't up in there. Like they would see him every now and then, but not all the time. Like you should see a dude in prison. So, I mean, and then an old dude like that, why would you want him in prison? It would seem like it'd be more of a medical thing. It ain't never quiet in prison. I've taken enough dudes to prison, I know. I ran a security company, and we used to take, I've said this yesterday, we used to take people to prison all the time. That's how many it was to take to prison, that they had to hire a security company to take people to prison. You'd go pick them up and drive them to wherever jail or prison they had to go. That's how many people that the current President Clinton was sending to jail, where it wasn't even enough regular deputy sheriff state patrol to take the people to prison. They had to hire extra people to take these brothers to prison. And out of 100 people I would take to prison, it'd be threefold Europeans. It'd be 97 brothers. And that's how many people. If you're Democrat and you voted for him, that is who you voted for. He's part of the crime bill. Lock them up. I don't care if they're poor. I don't care if they're just living with their mama. I don't care if they're stealing to feed themselves. Lock them up and throw away the key. No, he said, lock them up and throw the son of a bitches away with the key. Yeah, I figured that out too. He wasn't really there. Yeah, that's what that OJ came out first. And now dudes got phones in jail. So, phones in jail and you ain't seeing certain people. That's been more and more the tell. Phones being in jail. Can you imagine somebody stick a phone in their ass and they got to take the phone out the ass to give it to you? Oh, did y'all see? I talked about this when I used to work for these Germans. They was the first ones that I saw the little bitty phones. They're like he would talk and then he'd have to put the little phone to his ear. Then he'd have to talk in it. It's like he couldn't do the same thing. It was too little. But it was the first time I saw a little phone. I mean, it was what? Trying to think, do I have any? It wasn't even big as this box. It wasn't even, it was like maybe about like that skinny. And he was like, listen, and he talked, and he listened. He couldn't do it at the same time. But I noticed they were selling them little bitty phones. And I was just imagining him riding in Germany and trying to talk on that little phone. It's like, on a motorcycle especially. I guess you could have stuck it in your helmet. Then it couldn't hurt you, though. But I noticed that, and I forgot to mention it. I forgot to mention that part. Well, I didn't do a divination yesterday. I'll do it today. So if I'm not mistaken, we should be at 13 platoons, 0 platoons, 8 tunes. We should be at 8 tunes. We're at 11 Uno, and we're at 7 kin. And 7 kin is, I believe, manic. No. There we go. Get off me. 7 kin is manic. Hand grasping, closure, knowledge of power of completion, realization of fitness of the physical body. And then manic is that. In this card, we see a spiritual seeker looking for a sacred vision. The deer is the one who will bring the vision. On the upper right-hand corner, we see the symbol of Venus, the planet representing Quetzalcoatl. The seeker is seated on a sacred mountain. The double heads of the mountain represent Amatotl, the divine duality as on top and the bottom of everything that exists. As we can see in the story of Calamari, the blue deer, Masato represents the quest for spiritual vision. The deer will bring the vision as long as we undertake all the steps and tasks that must be accomplished before the deer will reveal itself. Getting this card is a call to seek the vision that will show you what your task and path of heart will be from now on. Till the vision is fulfilled and the time for another vision will come. The quest for a vision is an old spiritual practice among people of Yanni tradition all over the world throughout history. It's performed in many ways, different ways, in accordance with the cultural background of the seeker. But the basic element is isolation in the wilderness for 1 or more days, often including fasting, praying, singing, or dancing. The intent is to call on the Great Spirit to bring us the vision that will direct our life form then on. Masao suggests spiritual initiation and awakening to a higher state of awareness. It is an omen and a call. It is up to you to find out how and when you respond to that call. And the energy is from the West for those that seek spiritual energy. No, I'm going to forget what I was about to say. I did. I had it there, but it slipped me. When I remember, I'll bring it back. Yeah, that one just left me. But nah, I don't sound like I don't have compassion for people and I can't be friendly with people. But a lot of times people present themselves as they're genuine and real. And like what they're saying is coming from a caring of you. What they're saying, they're putting out information and they're putting out like them hearing this information is best for you when they have a hidden agenda. That's what makes me upset. I see good people, what you perceive as good people, but you can't think anything but they're working for them. Because when you hear certain things, you see a certain pattern, and you're like, these motherfuckers working for them. And it's not like it ain't enough of them agents all around. I've found at least recently 4 agents in my own family. Like, damn, how many do you need? And I've talked many times. My father was an agent. And it's funny, he never steered me in. He steered me to be a cop, I have no doubt. But he never steered me to be an agent. I imagine he thought when I was a cop, I was going to become an agent. And when I broke that spell, I think they were all surprised I was able to break it. Because I didn't want to be an agent. I saw the wrongs of that shit. I saw the wrongs of being an agent. I saw the wrongs of not being unified with the people that you deal with. And they ain't got to be all indigenous people, all melanated people. It's just shit, the people you deal with. You can't put a race on that. You can't make that a race. Because we all have different situations. And some people present themselves as general, all shucks kind of people. But their agenda comes out through their rhetoric. That's all. That's all. And I'm just saying, don't be fooled. Listen. That's the thing, is don't be a shark and want to debate the shit. Listen to the shit so you clearly hear what you clearly hear what they saying. And so you ain't fooled by what they saying. I love people just can't stand their baggage. When you say agent, what exactly do you mean? As we look at the world, we all share who's really in charge, spirit, human, or something else. Well, what we see is, again, like I said, when what we see is people profess to be one way. People profess to be the ones giving some of the answers. So they profess to, like now, wake means liberal, but people profess to say some of their opinions, and they're telling you the opinions, again, as I said, the all shucks. I'm just a regular like you. But in fact, they have an agenda, what they're saying. That's what an agent is. An agent has a script that he keeps to. So no matter how many different subjects an agent will bring up, he'll show their fangs, as I call it, that they work for them. They're supposed to be separated from them, but you see they really aren't separated from them. They're still holding their agenda. That's what an agent is. An agent is taking the uniform off. He still represents them in plain clothes. And they represent it in all shucks kind of way. I'm one of you. So I'm bringing my information like I'm one of you, when in fact they work for them. They ain't never been a part of them. And now this is the way. You got a lot of people that took their uniforms off, but they still part of them. And they tell on themselves because these ain't sophisticates. These people ain't sophisticated. I ain't going to say what I wanted to say. They ain't sophisticated people. And so they make mistakes that sophisticated people would make. Educated people would not make. I'll say that. Educated people would not make some mistakes I've heard some of these unsophisticated people make. Just because you had part of Army intelligence don't make you intelligent. Damn, write that down. Because these people are used to coming in and out of scripts so much, sometimes they forget it is a script. And they ain't your friends. They spying on you. They're trying to gather a pool where they can see who's part of the pool. It's always been good to use discernment when dealing with folks, especially family. Exactly. And I got some rotten family. I just busted this. Some people in my family are doozies. These old ass people. Some of them is just rich doozies. And I have to say, I got raised by a pimp. The pimp saw his best money situation when he got old and comfortable and lost his looks, and the pimp kept riding it. Right on. I can't fight that. I don't hate on that. Instead of love, the pimp said, I'll go with the money. Give me door 2. Instead of love, he said, give me door number 2 for a lifetime of easiness. I may not get it till I'm older, but I'll have it for a few years while I'm in my mind. And what happens when my mind leaves me, I don't care. Yes, discernment, absolutely. But see, that's the thing is people forget. See, non-intelligent people forget that they're talking to intelligent people. See, if you've only had a certain amount of education and sophistication, it's hard for you to fool educated and sophisticated people. People that listen to every word and know how to break down every word. I know what I forgot. This is what I want to say. So this is a complete different subject. I'm going to switch off that. What is the difference between free will and the fates? Or are they one and the same? Because again, as I mentioned, the cartoon said part of the negative influence is to take free will away from you or harbor the free will. But if you kind of look at how the fates is put out there, the fates is put out there more than a way than free will. Because what fate says is there's paths out there. Now, which path did you take? So I want the discussion to be free will and fate. Because free will has nothing to do with about time. Free will says time is your own and there's no path to take. The fates say there's always paths. And as I talk about, in war, there's a fate that you can follow, you won't get killed. And I've experienced in many different wars, you can step right in almost like an escalator. You can step in a dude's shadow and he won't get killed. But people all around him getting killed. But if you look at from the very time he reached the foreign ground, there was a path that everything he did in that foreign ground caused him to make it. And that's fate. That ain't free will. Fate moves with time. Free will is just up in the air. And then you got people supposedly attacking your free will. So what do you guys think? What do you think of free will and fate? Or is it a little bit of both? That's what I forgot that I was going to mention. Kind of passed me there. But that's something to ponder. We ain't really got to discuss it, but that's just something to ponder. It's a balance. Okay, Starfleet says it's a balance. Okay. Explain. Keep going. Why is it a balance? How would you need free will? If you move by the fates, you wouldn't even need free will because you knew a path was already set up. But if you follow free will, you don't really care about the fates. It ain't up to the fates. It's up to your free will. So you ain't even got to consider the paths. You're thinking that every choice you make, you're on the right path. Or even if you fail, you say you fail because the path you took. That's free will. So Very much so a balance. Okay. Is too much free will unhealthy? I mean, that's what it gets into. That's what it gets into. Like, if you want to say it's a balance, okay, I can follow that, because you have the right to follow the given paths. I give you that. I would give you that. That would be the balance. And then if you just took too much free will, you aren't even thinking that there's paths. You're just thinking that what you're plowing ahead, you, no matter what happens, you just plow ahead, and there was no other way it could happen. So they twist things up more, preaching free will, the power to choose. As simple as it sounds, you may have to have good and the bad. Well, yeah. I mean, that goes into, like what a yoni would be. It's like when you want to cleanse yourself, you're not going to cleanse all the bad out, or you're not going to get rid of all the demon in you. Because again, if you got to react to something, you want the demon to react and not your normal self, because the demon is going to bring it. What's that, JoJo's Adventure, when they can change into that demon that's always there with them, and the demon has more power and more power. The demon has more power. So in JoJo's Adventure, when they got that little thing there, when they turn into that, it's more effective, plowing its way through. So you don't want to get rid of that. So when you cleanse yourself, you wouldn't want to cleanse yourself from that. You would want to keep that. Well, the yin and the yang is really Hanukkah. That's really Hanukkah. They copied it and called it yin and yang, but it's really Hanukkah. That's the symbol for Hanukkah. So I don't know if yin and yang is quite the correct answer. Because the symbol is more of it moves, we count it. But I understand where you're coming from. But that was something I've been pondering all day, is how to make people consider one. Because again, the people don't consider the fates at all. Because again, like who's that, Valerie said, they push free will. They don't push the fates at all. They don't make you think that any of that. You can't see the different pathways. And they're a part of you that can hit all these different pathways. That's what I like about fate. There's part of you that can go dip your toes in that shit and say, let's go back. What's the difference between fate and destiny? Destiny would come at the end. You can't really see your destiny on the path. Destiny is the final output. That's the end. So it wouldn't be so destiny would not be on the path. Destiny would be the end result. So when you're going on the path, there's no destiny there. You're just following the path. Destiny would be at the end. And then where would destiny and free will be? Where would your destiny be in free will? You couldn't even bring that up with free will. Has nothing to do with it. Because free will and destiny is like two different things. I mean, completely different ways of applying outcomes. But good point for conversation. Very good point, Mark. But that's my argument, is destiny is not on the path. It's outcome. But good question for sure. Good question, definitely. Definitely, I appreciate it. Because I'm perfectly imperfect. And I don't say anything else. I made a lot of mistakes. I lived years where I wasn't human. I know that. I mean, I look back at myself, I had no reason not to be human, and I wasn't human. I moved like an animal. I really did move like an animal. And I look at it, it's like, how did society make me from being a young, normal person and turn me into an animal? How was that? I didn't ever fight in any wars. I mean, I'm shooting niggas in the streets and people in the streets, but I ain't, I've never been in any real war like that. So what turned me into an animal? And part of the animal part wasn't even just, being in conflict. I'm sorry, Dan, I missed your question. What do you have to say about human actions and consequences? Well, that's again, consequence comes at the end. Consequence ain't going with you. That's it. That's like destiny. That's at the end. So has nothing to do with the path. That's at the end. The consequence is at the end. Because when you're doing it, there is no consequence but what you're doing. And I would say that, that consequence would go with free will more than anything. You had the free will to fuck up and you had to suffer the consequence. So that's where consequence would go definitely with free will. Because you had free will to do the bullshit. There was no other path. So you had free will to go down this one path, and at the end was the bad consequence. That's free will. That's the foundation in religion is free will. Well, I would say free will was pushed by Pike. If you really look at who really pushed free will ain't an old concept. It's a fairly new concept. It goes back to the 1800s, really. Pike pushed free will through his writings with the Masons, his writings with secret society. That's a Pike kind of invention. He pushed that out there. So. Well, guys, I guess I'm gonna have to cut it. Yeah, I've been going 2 hours, so it ain't short. And I'm gonna close it like this. I don't dislike anyone, and I can break bread with anyone. But I ain't phony. Yeah, I may wear hats and new shirts all the time, but I ain't really phony. I mean, I dress like this all the time. When I went with my nephews and shit, once I got dressed, I didn't really want to play baseball with my nephew, but I did because I'm wearing new clothes. So, I'm vain, but I did. And so I always wear pretty much new shirts, new hats. It's just my thing. But I ain't phony. And I don't have any hidden agenda. I give freely. I got a young lady here that I've sent some crystals to, and she lost a little bit of the information, so I'm gonna help her get it. Barbara, been one of my greatest supporters. I sent Barbara some crystals, and so she's gonna call me on how to apply them. And so I give freely. I don't get paid for this. Most of the time I stay up late, get up early. So there's no agenda here. This ain't making me rich. I don't front like I'm this great rich person. I live a modest life. I live a very modest life, but I'm joyful of every minute. I'm joyful of everything I have. I love every minute of it. And I am lucky. I'm lucky I have people that love me. Like my children, two of my children, I only got to see about 10 minutes. My mother was upset, but I wasn't upset. Because the other part is I wouldn't see him at all. So the 10 minutes was enough. It was enough. It wasn't for my mother. My mother felt salty about it, that they chose to do something else. But again, I knew that for about 3 years, I didn't even see my mother because I lived in North Carolina. She lived in Minnesota. So I remember that. So if I'm spending 5 or 10 or 15 minutes with my son in another state, that's enough. It's enough for me. I made the effort, they made the effort, and our timing hit for that 10 minutes. That's great. Really, my daughter, I spent a lot of time with my daughter and my nieces and nephews. That's who needed my time. Not these men. These children needed my time, and they got a lot of my time. So I was satisfied. I don't hold it. My 26-year-old, he usually brings me beer on my birthday, but he had something to do. My birthday, he had to work 14 hours. I'm supposed to hold a grudge because he's grinding? I'm supposed to be mad because he's grinding? And then the following week is like, well, I'll get you next week. That's the 4th of July. So I know, he's got a woman, they're going to go do something. I ain't holding that against him. And then my nephew got killed. So that changed the next week. I had to go see my brother, support him. So I don't hold that to them because I know what being grown is about. And when you're trying to support yourself, you're trying to survive because it's enough. I wonder, should I share this? No, I'm gonna have to hold that because I don't know how to say it and make it not sound finite. So I'll hold that one. But good people in my eyes, there you go. Would you be so kind as to give your email address? I will. And PNF, me and PNF gonna do something. And like I wasn't trying to. You've been sharing your wisdom, the moment, all we have. Embrace it and enjoy it. There we go. Bernice, thank you for your help. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I appreciate everybody tuning in. And I should know my other one because I got one on this iPhone. And I don't fucking know it. And again, with my dyslexia, I put the wrong shit in there. So we getting Billy Ocean deep tonight, Mark. What's the difference? That's the foundation of free will. Yeah. Is there free will if you're mind controlled or possessed? Now, Mark, that's a good point. There's no free will if you're mind controlled. And that's my point about agents. Agents help in the mind control. Agents help with the mind control. It could be worse. That's mind control. They're not leading you. They're leading you off the cliff. It's mind control. That's a good point. Thank you, Mark, for sharing that. So there's no free will if you're mind controlled. And that's what a lot of information comes out. Now, I wasn't trying to throw a seer out the bus. I ain't lied about a seer. I ain't lied about him to PNF. It's the truth. 17. He know what he did. And I'm sorry I don't have the 2 shows, but I got another witness. My brother was on the call. And I think we can look up the other people because he keeps in touch with some of these other people. And we can have other people that's on the call. And matter of fact, we can go deep enough and to get some of them other people to pay him. And call Hito Paul, Grand Sheik, there's his cousin in Miami. We can call him and you remember you talked to this guy that asked us about this brother? Oh, yeah. Well, talk to this brother now. So I imagine that person is 4 or 5 years later, 17? 4 or 5 years later, I imagine he's still the Grand Sheik in Miami. He didn't sound like he was that old. So he can probably tell the same story he told to me. So I ain't trying to say a motherfucker's name to get somewhere. It's just a fact. Motherfucker know what he was doing. Well, thank you, PJ. But PJ, I want to tell your story and I can't remember it. And so I'll save that to tomorrow. Because PJ put a brilliant breakdown. And I know you working, so you can't come on. And maybe we have you come on. I'll come on earlier. Maybe I'll go earlier so you can do it. We are in the land of sheep and someone else owns the grass. That is a perfect allegory. It really is. It really is. Because it's no one's job to save anybody. It's past that. It's past saving anybody. It's not even worth it. So if you are in the truth, you're in the research community. I'm not in the truth community. I'm not in the conscious community. I'm a researcher. So if anything, if you want to be a researcher, that's what I'm in. I'm the research. And to me, it's about awareness. It's about knowing. And it's about helping others find how to move through awareness. How to not to be mind controlled. How not to fall for these spells. Think about how you sounded. How do you sound? Not parroting their spells. You talking and then you throw in at the end of the day. I heard my daughter say that. I had to correct her. I heard my mother say that. I'm don't talk like that. That's parroting. That's a parroting spell and nothing else. When you hear all these talking heads say it, and it's cool. This is the thing that gets me. It's like the hip thing to say at the end of the day is the hip thing to say. And it's a fucking parroting spell. And I'm the only one that calls it that. But that's what it is. And we have many parroting spells throughout the country with black folks. As Mark says, he's a researcher too. We'll set it up. It's funny. I was just thinking about that. I'm off Saturday night though. Okay. We can go on early, however you want to do it. You can do it Saturday. You better not be scared. Like one of my friends was like, she said she gets nervous around live people, but this is, you know, we can block people that say too much shit. Like what? No, motherfucker, you said what? See, that's how you have to be. You have to have fun. You can't be rigid, you know. I'm just playing, PJ. It's okay. You ain't feeling it that night. It's all right too. Ain't no pressure on this. This ain't that big a deal. But he caught one. He caught definitely. Oh, I ate all my chocolate. He definitely caught a good clue tonight. And my memory, I should have wrote it down, but I've got this other. I'm practicing. I'm practicing doing the Facebook and keeping it, and I'm backing it up on another recorder. So doing it how I should have did it all the time, because they erased so much of my stuff where a lot of it's saved on TalkShoe. But they got me for about 6 weeks. So I'm not going to let that happen again. So, and I'll tell you, this is what surprised me. I have people watch my shit from Facebook, which I didn't know that. Bullshit is the American soundtrack. Kind of is. Kind of is. And that's like people saying, you know, you want to go door to door about the drip. You know, if they come to my door to door, I'm going to treat them like I treat the Jehovah Witnesses. You know, I'll be talking their heads off and shit, you know. You want to know what? And I'll be talking to them about a bunch of other shit. Well, I know a little bit about that, but what about this? I snap all my friends when they say it at the end of the day. It's auto-programmed. I just all types. It's a real live spell. Yeah, it's a live spell. Absolutely. It's a parenting spell, though. And we as melanated people, we are constantly